And we are back. Welcome, James the Mandalorian.
Thank you for having me.
What's up, dude? It's been how many rotations has it been since the last time we've battled throughout the galaxy?
Quite a few. The galaxy was a totally different place.
It is. Yeah.
Early 2000s.
2000s, man. That seems like galaxies ago. So what's new? I see you brought a guest with us.
Yes, sir.
It's rare to have a youngling with you on a show like this. I like it.
It is, yes. But
does he talk shit?
he goes everywhere I go, yeah.
Okay. I'm sure he tells me to fuck off, but
he can't speak just yet. He's getting there.
So what else is going on in the galaxy? You been any kind of battles going on?
All sorts. We're fighting Empire, Jedi.
Who is the villain right now? There's a lot. Who is the villain?
Everything.
Trump. Trump might
He's
be
the real Palpatine.
He might be doing the real Order 66 at this point.
Slipped right in there. Yes, exactly. Yep.
Yeah. He's like, I'm gonna come in Order 66.
This is how we're gonna do it.
Believe me, it's how we're gonna do it. Oh, that's good. That's good. It's been cool to catch up, man. It's been way too long. It's been a long time, dude. I think the last time that we actually sat down somewhere was after one of the Cantina nights on, we'll say, the planet of Middletown.
There was a lot of those. Yep.
Yeah, we ended up at a diner or a diner. Diner will work. That'd be a good.
It's crazy to remember that.
I do. And the crazy thing is that it pops up on the holograph, on the HoloNet network.
Yeah.
And I was rewatching it, and I was like, man, that looks like eons ago. And it was. Like,
a whole lifetime ago.
Like, how long ago was that? Because you had the shades on. It was probably, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning at that point?
Yeah.
Shit face.
I don't even dress like that anymore, so.
Yeah. In all seriousness, it's good to have you on. It's been peace in the galaxy. It'd be horrible if there was some kind of evil villain lurking in the shadows. It's gonna be at peace for so long here. But tell you what, I'm ready. I'm ready to mess some evil up. How about you?
Way.
This is the way. I appreciate that.
All right. The fuck you looking at?
I thought it was you.
Looking at? Somebody just staring at me like
I'm following y'all lead, right? I gotta take this helmet off at some point soon.
Yeah, it's getting a little toasty.
Oh, it's foggy up in here.
It's foggy? All right.
Yeah. I'm like making out with myself over here.
Oh, okay.
I just connected. Did you guys mention what day today was?
No.
Okay.
We should do that, yes.
Well, I should actually be looking right here. Today's the 4th. May the 4th be with you.
Yes.
The Mandalorian's on the show.
Dank Farrick. Thank the Star Wars guys.
Dank.
Thank the maker, George Lucas.
He's got some fucking stank, I tell you right now.
Yeah.
It's a good
I took
day.
the hood off,
We
man.
put my
I
hood
was
back.
cooking in that thing. We got Darth Brian in
Let's
here
put
with
the
us
hood back
now,
on.
live and in
Yeah.
from the Death Star.
The dark side.
The dark side. It is May 4th, which is awesome. It's awesome to be able to film on May 4th. with some awesome characters. You know, we have James the Mandalorian, we got Grogu, we got Darth Brian, Jedi
This
Dave.
is the day that brings a lot of people together. You know, there's a lot of craziness going on in the world, but I think Star Wars is one of those things that just kind of brings people together.
Yeah, it brings all the
Talk
nerds
about
together.
things, we can disagree things, we can just live in this universe when our own reality is just like all over the place. So.
I agree. No, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad we're all on board here. We're all in different parts of the galaxy right now. Shout out to Brian on the Darth Brian the Death Star, you evil son of a bitch. But all right, so let's dive right into it. Dude, how hot is?
I don't know how.
How hot is it in that thing, dude?
I don't know how Din does it. I've adopted the Death Watch way. I will take my helmet off, Bo-Katan style.
Imagine if you fart in that down there and it reaches your helmet, dude. 'Cause it's all circulated. Dude. If you breathe in and fart,
I would pass out.
yeah, that'd be fucking nasty. It'd be real nasty. Let's.
I'm feeling the force right now.
What kind of force you feeling right now? Some relief.
Hotness, yeah.
Hotness.
Let's count on for James. So let's start off with: it is Star Wars Day, May the 4th.
It is. Yeah.
Let's go with
I'm gonna remove the hood.
your favorites. Let's go faith. Let's go faith from both of us. Favorite movie, favorite show, favorite book. Doesn't matter, either or. What do you got? Let's see what direction we're gonna go here.
Well, let's not even count the sequel trilogy. I would have to say it's probably between Empire Strikes Back and Revenge of the Sith. And we're going like through like the Skywalker saga. Those are the two. Those are the two movies for sure.
What brings you into that? Like, what is your draw on that?
Well, I would say Empire Strikes Back is because that's literally the first Star Wars movie I ever watched. So when I was back in the 90s, never mind Star Wars, I saw Empire Strikes Back at Blockbuster one time, and that was the first one I watched. So I actually kind of found out Vader was, you know, that the whole twist way before the fact. So
Yeah.
that's the reason why Empire Strikes Back lives in a certain place in my heart, because that is literally what got me into Star Wars.
Was it the Hoth battle that really sold you in? Because that sold me in when I was a kid. The Hoth battle was like the greatest battle ever seen.
I mean, I was kind of I already knew what Star Wars was, because my brother was actually an OG fan. He's from the from the 1977 era, and he used to have like the original Star Wars figurines, and he used to burn the hell out of them with like a magnifying glass. And I still have a lot. It was like the Chewbacca one. It was like another like one from Max Rebo's band from Jabba the Hutt's Palace.
Shit. Okay, yeah.
But I remember vividly just going to Blockbuster, just seeing it on the shelf and just watched it. I don't know. It's just Star Wars is just one of those things. When you watch it as a kid, it just captures your imagination, and there you go. Next thing I know, Shadows of the Empire comes out, 1999. You know, the special editions came out in 1996, and then 1999 you had Episode 1.
Yep.
I think I saw that about 3 or 4 times in the movie theater at the time.
And that's where my favorite. Believe it or not, my favorites are it's a movie trilogies is going to be the prequels.
Yes.
I like the build of Anakin
Oh, yeah, sure. Yes.
when it turns into Vader. Like
Yes.
I like Revenge of the. I saw that down in Florida, and rewatched it in theaters, and it was incredible. It's just like it gives me goosebumps now talking about how he turns, like the build up of Darth Brian over there, like the Emperor really just playing him along. It's like,
Yeah.
I could save Padme.
It's very
know-
Shakespearean. I think that's why I like Star Wars the way it is, especially Episode 3. The music, the emotion,
incredible.
the darkness, the whole how it all ends in tragedy. It's very very Shakespearean how it ends. So, and like a lot of people talk smack about the prequels, but they were pretty good for what they were.
Yeah.
I don't know what else people expected from them.
And that's what it is. What do you think people's like the generation above us? What do you
Well,
think that they thought
A lot
Star
of
Wars was
people,
supposed to be?
A lot of people, when it came to prequels, a lot of people thought Anakin should have been older when he was found. I don't see how that really is when you think about how the Jedi were back in those eras. I think a lot of people didn't like Jar Jar Binks. I didn't really care about Jar Jar Binks. It didn't really bother me any. A lot of people didn't like the politics. I did, so it's like
Speaking of politics, I enjoyed the politics because we saw how Palpatine was able to twist
yes,
his agenda, be a double agent,
yeah.
and create a separatist faction, which was just him controlling them, and then he wipes them all out in Episode 3. He used them. So let's go to the clone army. So we have who created the clone army? Let's go deep back there.
Well, it would be Palpatine, of course,
Yep.
and Sifo Dyas.
Sifo
is the
Dyas.
one who covered it all up.
And Sifo Dyas was
And then
before
you saw-
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Right, and then you saw him a little bit in the Clone Wars cartoon. Yeah, that's exactly what the prequels is all about. It's pretty much Palpatine's machinations. The only thing I don't like about Palpatine is he's kind of like a one-note sort of villain because you can't really count the Palpatine or the Plagueis novel as canon, right? So the fact that he killed his whole family, that should have all been somehow incorporated, because when you look at Star Wars at just the face value, Palpatine is kind of a flat villain. He's just evil. That's it.
Yeah.
Does that make it a good character? Kind of, sort of, but you want to know what made him so damn evil. The fact that he killed his entire family, that would have been a good detail for people to know that, casual fans, not like you and me, that know all the ins and outs.
I feel Darth Plagueis book, although it's legends, I think that they're incorporating a lot of that into, like, The Acolyte, which is a newer show. They if you've seen it, Plagueis makes an appearance into it, very briefly. So I feel like they want to teeter, and they mention that in episode 3, where it says, "Have you ever heard of the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise?"
Yep.
And I feel like they're trying to tie some of the legends with new stuff. And I think that's great.
The only thing is, was that really Plagueis? Because wasn't Plagueis like, what was his name?
He's a Mun.
Hugo Damas, I think was his name, or something like that. His public name, and then you see him in The Acolyte. You see him just kind of creepily coming out of a cave.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know if that was necessarily Plagueis, but
I
I can't say anything because I never saw The Acolyte. It just did not grab me.
Okay.
The only 2 shows I've not seen on the Disney one are Acolyte and then Skeleton Crew.
Okay. So out of say, so Brian, Darth Brian, what is your go-to? So what was your favorite movie, show, book? I know I got probably stole some books up top there from you, but what do you got from the Death Star here?
Books not too much. Favorite movie? Favorite movie, I would say it used to be Return of the Jedi.
Okay.
The movie that got me into Star Wars was Empire Strikes Back.
Oh, dude, I think we all would say Empire Strikes.
Yeah.
At our age, Empire Strikes Back was probably what sold us, was the battles in there.
Yeah, I remember the scene was Luke rappelling up the bottom of the
the AT-AT walker. Yeah, that's
cuts it open, throws in that thermal detonator.
Yeah. It's just like those little moments that capture your imagination, especially at that particular age. I know you're a little older than us, but we were all in that same generation, 1994, 95, 96, that whole like resurgence of Star Wars when Lucas came out with the special editions, back when Star Wars was pure. Let's put it that way. It was really pure. There wasn't much out there in terms of content. The new toys like you have back here, the Power of the Force toys, were just coming back out. With the buff chests and everything else like
What's that one?
Those like the original 1990s. I had like Luke Skywalker, had like pecs and everything else going on. Back when I just remember those, and I have so many of those. But the thing is, they're just not in the in the case. Because when you're a kid, you just want to play with figurines all the time, right? And
you used to go to like Caldors and get them, or like what's the one? What was it? Toys R Us on a Brown Turnpike?
Service merchandise also too had a lot had a great one. And my dad always told me, don't take those out of the case, and I didn't listen. So. And just in general, just in the amount of Star Wars stuff I have, I can't even display it because I just don't have the space for it. That's just how much Star Wars stuff I have.
And that's a true fan right there. I don't have enough room to have all my stuff.
I have so much stuff in my mother's attic that as soon as you go up into the attic, it's like a whole layer of Star Wars stuff.
You need a full.
That's right.
We're talking about mugs. I got things from
basement. Just go into
he's seen it before. I got things from like back in 1999. When Episode 1 came out, Taco Bell had like these cups, and they had like the different. Yeah, they were like the different character cups. I have like the Mace Windu one. I have Jar Jar Binks.
Dude, that's cool. I know Taco Bell even had that stuff.
Yeah, I got collector watches.
If we can post
check eBay.
Put a picture up there so you can see what it looks like. That'd be cool.
I don't know what I want to do with the stuff yet. I don't know if I want to sell it. I don't know if I want to just keep on to it.
Save it.
Yeah, once I get the space, I'll definitely kind of like spread it all out. But it's just so much stuff. I got Barbie dolls. I got there's so many different figurines. It's nuts.
So speaking of the movies and stuff, and like, I love Rogue One. Rogue One was a great story. It was very un-Star Wars, which I liked about it. It was but if you had to pick out of the entire Star Wars history, what would be your favorite
including the
section?
including the Disney stuff.
Disney going even back to Legends. Like me, I'm a huge Legends guys, as you can tell. Huge Legends.
Well, if we were talking about books, then I love Shadows of the Empire. That was probably because I collected all the comic books. I love Prince Shizor as a villain.
Yeah,
I thought
Prince
he was a great
Shizor.
villain. It was just I like that in between stuff in between the movies, and Disney never has really explored between Empire and Return. They touched on it, but they either focused too much on after Endor, or it's like 30 years in the Force Awakens era. They're just now getting into like the Battle of Jakku and all that other nonsense. But Shadows of the Empire, I liked a lot of the Lando ones, like the Lando books.
Yeah.
I love Lando. Maybe it's just I don't know if it's a black thing. I don't know what it is. I just like Lando in general.
Could be.
The Mandalorian, like the Tales of the Bounty Hunters. Just like all these, like I don't like Twilight of the Jedi and things like that, but it's an acquired taste. Let's put it that way. The Yu Zhanvong. A lot of people don't like the Yu Zhanvong. I thought that would have been a great villain in the sequel trilogy, because in the sequel trilogy they did too much of the same. We've already seen TIE fighters. We've already seen stormtroopers. We've already seen planet-killing weapons. How about some alien race from, if anything, just take away they're outside of the Force. If you take that away, I think that would have made a pretty compelling villain.
So you think Rise of Skywalker with every freaking Star Destroyer with planet kill weapons and like 200 or I don't know how many were there when he rose off Exegol? It was what, thousands of those things?
Thousands, yes.
It's like, come on, dude. Like, be more creative.
It was like a poor man's Dark Empire. I think that's what Skywalker was. And I think because of Rian Johnson, what he did in The Last Jedi, he put it in such a position that it made it almost impossible to recover. Just how Last Jedi ended, how Luke Skywalker threw his lightsaber over his shoulder. I don't think J.J. Abrams really had any choice. And the thing about Star Wars, the Disney Star Wars at least, is that it plays it safe.
Yeah.
It's just nostalgia bait every single time.
Okay.
And when you do like different shows like Andor or Skeleton Crew, not many people like it because people want the nostalgia bait. They want the lightsabers. They want the George Lucas 1977 Star Wars, the original, the lightsabers, all that stuff. The Force, the Jedi, and the Sith. Nobody wants the political Star Wars. And then, in Andor season 2, I heard that there's like a rape scene, and I was like, okay, well.
I mean, they sold me at that part. I'm like, get her. Like, the Empire's coming in there.
The Empire's it's a pretty fucked up thing.
But it's cool because it's really showing how dark the Empire was. Like, if you look at, like, the new Disney stuff's coming out, is kind of really showcasing how dark, even the rebellion was brutal.
Yeah.
Like, for them to come up to power, like, they were dealing with drug dealers. They were dealing with all different kind of like crime families to get money to fund the rebellion. Meanwhile, you have the Empire doing the same thing. They're taking over plans. They're like putting tariffs and shit like that. They're taking out all the money. It's building this up.
Andor's almost kind of Andor 1 and 2, season 1 and 2. It was almost like a kind of like a reflection of our own society.
Yeah,
how it is with Trump and the corruption and the authoritarian and this and that and the deportation of everybody.
It makes you think, like, who is really the villain in this?
Yes, because the rebellion it's like, would you rather have the rebellion to restore the Republic, or would you rather have the Empire? I would rather have the Empire, because the Republic was corrupt. But the only reason why the Republic was corrupt really is because of Palpatine. But if you remove Palpatine from the equation, I'm sure greed and self-interest and all that stuff would have taken over in the Senate anyways. So it doesn't really matter either or. I think both sides, it's just like Democrats and Republicans.
Yeah.
Both sides are corrupt. It don't matter who you vote for. It's the same cycle over and over and over.
Yeah, it's just one is labeled as this,
And that's the thing about George Lucas and Star Wars, and just in his movies in general. Because I've done, like, back in school, I did a whole thing on THX 1138 and how it reflects our own.
That's
society.
His first movie, right?
That's like his very first movie,
yep.
Besides American Graffiti. But even that movie was like he likes to make black and white, evil, good. There is no middle area. There's no gray area. It's either evil or good, light side or dark side, and that's what Star Wars is pretty much all about.
Well, that's what Kenobi said to Anakin before they had their battle. He goes, "You speak in absolutes. Only Sith speak in absolutes, where it's only A or B, and that's it."
And that's how a lot of people are in our own society. So Star Wars is a very big reflection. And a lot of people who are not Star Wars fans, they just see the spaceships. They just see the whole glamour of, it's science fiction. But no, it's actually a well woven tapestry of our own society. And I think that's what I like about Star Wars the most. A lot of people don't like the politics of Star Wars, but that's the reason why I like Andor. You know, you're just taking these politics and kind of making like a realistic, like, oh, this universe could be real in a galaxy far, far away.
Yeah.
Because it's about a democracy that falls into authoritarian or dictatorship, which almost in some ways is what's going on right now.
You're right. It's
not
almost
to go in too deep about that.
Like it's projecting like what reality could be like, even though it's like spaceships and lightsabers.
And if you think about it, how Trump came to power and he kind of did almost like a Palpatine, I call it. It's like almost like an Order 66. In Order 66, he's purging out all these government agencies, and he manipulated the voters, and he just spread this corruption. And it's almost it's actually, I mean, he's not as evil as Palpatine, but he's close enough. He's close enough.
Which is cool. I do see that too, and I always like reflect on these movies as if they were happening right now.
Yes. And I think that's why a lot of people, and not even the politics, just the struggling of being good or necessarily evil. Religion. You got the Jedi who believe a certain way. You got, like it's like I don't know, Christians and I don't know, two different like religions that believe in the same thing, the Force, the God, but they just believe in it. It's like so many different like reflections of our own world. Like just like Qui-Gon said, your focus determines your reality. It's just like so many quotes and things that you could take and put it into your own life. I think that's one of the things that George Lucas was trying to get across, and I think he did a pretty good job on it. You just have to know how to read in between the lines. It's like he said, it's more about the spaceships, and that's the reason why he could never get the movie off the ground, is because people just saw it what it was for.
Yeah.
And not necessarily what it was, or at least what he was trying to convey.
It's crazy because you wonder like what his vision was, but so like our vision of Star Wars is we see it, like literally we see everything. Like we're like vested in the politics, we're in the laser side, the lightsaber battles. We're all into that shit, but we like everything about it. We like the deepness of it. We like how we can relate to it.
I think when we were kids, you see Star Wars, yes, with the lightsabers and all the tall Wookiees and the laser guns and the Death Star. You see all the space battles, the explosions.
Look at Grogu now. Like how is Lucasfilms or Disney trying to get new viewers in? They bring Grogu in.
Well,
Who doesn't want a cute little Yoda-looking dude?
That's Disney. What were those little beings in Last Jedi? The Porgs.
The Porgs, yeah. I went upstairs. Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? That's just Disney in general. And it gets to a point, all right, Grogu is cool and all, but what is this character going to do? How is this character going to develop? Are we always going to see Grogu as a baby, or are we going to see him be the Mandalore, which I'm assuming he's going to be, because obviously Boba Fett is not going to, they kind of just push Boba Fett to the side.
Yeah, they kind of, so speaking of Boba Fett, like when they were talking about bringing a Boba Fett show, I said the only way they can really bring that show in is if they show how he survived the Sarlacc pit.
Yeah.
And they did. He did.
No Dengar, but yeah.
But then they just kind of, it's like he turned into some like crime boss to go to Jabba's palace. I'm like, what the?
I didn't hate that so much, but I was like, yeah, they put him, okay, he's going to be a lowly crime boss when in the books, he was supposed to become the Mandalore. I liked how Boba Fett started it. I thought it made perfect sense for his character.
Oh, it was great when I started.
Where they left off in Return of the Jedi, and then when he actually got out of the Sarlacc, I was like, oh, here we go. Where's Dengar to save his ass? And
where's Dengar?
Dengar never showed up, and what happened? Jawa knocked him out and stripped him of his Mandalorian armor.
Yeah, and then the Tusken Raiders took him under his wing. I'm like, dude, where's Dengar? What happened?
And it's unfortunate, and that's how a lot of these Star Wars or these Disney Star Wars shows are. They start off strong, and then they just don't stick the landing. And then when they put the Mandalorian in the Boba Fett show, that was it for me.
That was Boba's like exit out of there.
Not even that, just Luke Skywalker in general too. That and then Ahsoka. All those characters just took all of Boba Fett's like thunder that he had going on.
And he had, Boba Fett was probably my favorite character growing up. I wanted to be Boba Fett as a kid.
And that's what I loved about that show, is that they actually gave Boba Fett a character. You literally saw Tamara Morrison, who played Jango Fett, be
in all the clones.
And be Boba Fett. And the only time you ever saw Boba Fett really talk is in Empire Strikes Back, unless you saw him in the Clone Wars cartoon when he was a kid.
Yeah, that's right. When he was a kid,
so I just like the fact that he was trying to turn over a new leaf. A lot of people didn't like that. I personally thought, as a character development, and that, like I always say, just from when I do my own writings and just reading stories in general, the best characters are the ones that develop.
Yeah,
you can't keep a certain character the same all the time. Like okay, you can have him walking around in his helmet, not talking, but what's the end game? We get it, but we need some sort of development. And I think the fact that Boba Fett was trying to turn a new leaf, even though he kind of failed, and who was that? Who was Ming-Na Wen? Who did she play? Fennec Shand.
Fennec Shand. I want to say Bastila Shan. Like
She
wrong
even said
era.
that he was soft. So you know what I mean? Like I like the fact that he was trying to balance being a new person, but then also living up to this legacy of his father. And I think a lot of people miss that. That he's too soft. He's trying to do this. He's trying to do that. He's trying to. I thought it was a good point where he began, but I would want more for Boba Fett. And unfortunately, Disney kind of just gave Tamora Morrison the big stinky boot.
Yeah, because even in the books, like he was always a badass.
He was, yeah.
No matter what, like he would even afterwards, after Return of the Jedi, all the books.
And he was in the Mandalorian show.
Yeah,
I'm tracking you, Mandalorian, and I want my armor.
Yeah,
I want your armor. I want my armor. That was pretty badass. And when the Mandalorian first came out, I was like, I know somehow, some way they're gonna find a way to incorporate Boba in that, and they did it pretty masterfully. And how they just incorporated him with the Mandalorian. That he's not the only one. Boba Fett is not the only one that wears Mandalorian armor. But then you had Bo-Katan. You had so many. You had so many other characters.
Because the best
Sabine Wren is another one. Like you have all these characters, and I think that kind of cheapens Boba Fett in a way. Because now you have Din Djarin, you got Sabine Wren, you got Bo-Katan, you got all these characters, a lot of characters in the Clone Wars that wore the Mandalorian armor. It kind of cheapens it, and it kind of takes away. Now Boba Fett to me is like a background character, while you got Din Djarin, who is in a place where Boba Fett should be.
You're right. And so the main focus now is Din Djarin, the Mandalorian. He is the spotlight of Star Wars. I agree.
Disney Star Wars, for sure. He's like him and Grogu are like the mascots for Disney Star Wars, because it was like their first. I think that was like their first show that they ever did. So yeah, that makes sense that he's like the gateway into Disney Star Wars.
Even when Luke made an appearance at the end, it's still Din Djarin is like the so Luke coming into the ship and saving him was amazing.
That was top Star Wars for Disney.
Top Star, yeah. But the main focus is still the Mandalorian.
It is.
Boba Fett's like,
That's why when I heard about I was like, really, they're making a Mandalorian movie? I was like, I don't know. I'm not personally excited about it. After season 3, I was like, okay, I get the gist of what the Mandalorian is. For me personally, the only way, there's nothing Star Wars Celebration just passed
in Japan, right?
Yeah, in Japan, yeah. And there was like, okay, yay, another round of Disney Star Wars, but there was really nothing that grabbed me in terms of I'm interested. So you got Tales of the Underworld, which is about Asajj Ventress, Cad Bane. I guess if you're from that era. Because when I came up in Star Wars, the Clone Wars was like a totally different thing.
Yeah.
Completely different from what it became.
It was just mentioned in episode 4.
And I was never really into Cad Bane all that much as it was. No, he seemed like a cliche George Lucas character, because Star Wars is a big Western, so he had the big brim hat.
Yeah.
He was like a cowboy with the dual pistols.
Yep.
Very, very Star Wars.
What do you think? So if you're looking at a newer generation, so you have teenagers now.
Mm.
What do you think Star Wars should develop? What do you think kids now coming up? So you had the old generation of 4, 5, 6. Those are their movies. Yeah. That's what they set their baseline to. We grew up doing 1, 2, 3. So we grew up with the prequels, Rogue One, a lot of the shows. So we're getting a lot of filler stuff. But how do you get somebody into Star Wars?
I say watch the original trilogy, because that was George Lucas's true vision of Star Wars. The prequels, yes, but something about the trilogy, the original trilogy, that was Star Wars. That was when Star Wars was the most pure, the most real, the most cinematic, the most game-changing thing in cinema history. I think especially if you have kids, I think you should start them with 4, 5, 6. Or I personally, if I had kids, I'd go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But because I grew up with 4, 5, 6, and then 1, 2, 3, that would probably be the machete order, which is a completely strange. We have to look that up to see exactly what it is. It goes from one episode to another, and it goes from opposites. I think because it kind of makes you wonder, why did George Lucas start with episode 4? Well, he even said that he wants to start. He wants to go into the into the story where things are happening, not the beginning stuff. He likes to start with like the middle stuff.
So kind of ropes you in right away.
So it ropes you in, and you're like, oh, what happened to Anakin? Who was Anakin? Who was Anakin before he became? Oh, it's okay.
Who is Anakin? Tell me about it. Yeah.
It's like I remember who Anakin was. I was in the Jedi Order. I know.
So let's talk about that. So Grogu was actually when he was found, he was in the Order.
Yeah.
And Anakin walks in and just starts like mutilating kids one after another, dude.
I mean, and the thing is, here we go with the Disney Star Wars. They take forever to get to the point in their stories.
True.
And that's actually Dave Filoni's thing. He has like a slow burn to his stories. They take a long time to really get to the point.
Yeah.
Like, what's going to happen with Thrawn? Is Thrawn going to die like he did in the books where his own people killed him? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Stabbed him in the back? Or is like Admiral Akbar going to beat him? And that's the thing about Disney Star Wars. It's so focused on Dave Filoni's characters. I would just love to have one animated show that's about Luke, Han, and Leia and their adventures in between the movies.
Yeah.
Like, it must have been that bounty hunter on Ord Mandel that changed my mind. Who's the bounty hunter? We don't know the answer to, like, from Empire Strikes Back. We don't know who the bounty hunter was that they encountered on Ord Mantell. I would like to see,
or how she got her armor in Return of the Jedi.
Oh yeah, or like that too. Oh yeah, because Shadows of the Empire is not canon anymore.
So Shadows of the Empire talks about how she got that armor.
I think there is one story that in the new canon that's like the journey to the Force Awakens. That like they have like those like book runs, and I think it explains how she got that bush. Bounty armor, but it's not the Empire. It's not or the Shadows of the Empire. It's definitely not.
Yeah, Shadows of the Empire was a phenomenal book. Also, a phenomenal game on 64.
Yep, I have all those toys. The 64 game. I just got it on PC just for the hell of it.
Yep.
Yeah, I love Shadows. I think that's
fighting IG-88 in the junkyard, dude. That was cool.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, fighting Boba Fett in that whatever that arena was. He fight him in the TIE fighter battles.
Wampa Stompa is like the code that you put in there to get like extra lives and invincibility. I remember those days.
Brian, did you play? You played that too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that was fun. That was a good game.
Rogue Squadron 2. That was another great Nintendo 64 game. I used to love those games. I was always big into like the Star Wars ships. I remember the toy line back in the 90s, kind of like what this slave one is, the action fleet. I have like all the ships, and I used to love all that stuff.
Yeah, the slave one, dude. The best weapon on the slave one is the seismic charge. Dude.
Oh, we can't call that anymore. It's Boba Fett's starship now.
Yeah. It's a slave one.
It's a slave one, for real. Yeah, it's always gonna be the slave one.
Yeah, it's on that right there.
Or how many slaves did he have in the old canon? It was like slave 2, slave 3, slave 4.
Because they're all built at the Kuwait Drive Yard.
Yes.
That's where they're all built. He had multiple ships because of if one got blown up, he's going to get another one.
I mean, I like the canon of how Jango Fett stole it, and it was like a prototype ship.
Yeah.
I mean, that's cool, but I mean, that game is no longer canon. I feel like a lot of the best canon, the best canon is like no longer canon anymore. And now like you can get all these books, but now they're all slapped with that Legends banner, and that's kind of like a slap in the face for a fan like me. You know what I mean? I don't know how you got rid of Shadows of the Empire, because at least Shadows of the Empire was created by Lucasfilm, and George Lucas put his stamp on it. Like this is the after trilogy, or this is the next Star Wars before the prequel started coming out. Like this is what happens with Han, Luke, and Leia. This is it. This is like they had like the whole island, like they had a soundtrack, they had everything to it. It's a shame that Disney did what they did, but what are you gonna do?
They should probably revisit a lot of these and bring them in.
I mean, the Black Sun is canon, so I don't.
Yeah, Black Sun is canon. Yeah,
but they never once mentioned Prince Xizor, and I know the Outrider, not the Outrider itself, but the ship that the Outrider is canon. That was in the Clone Wars cartoon.
Xizor was a huge character because he did contracting with the Emperor. And he was untouchable to Vader.
Rendar? Yeah.
Or Xizor.
Oh, Xizor, yes.
Xizor calls the shots, man. Vader can't do nothing to him. He's like, nah, I'm doing this and I'm doing that, and untouchable.
And even Dash Rendar. Dash Rendar was pretty much like a copy of Han Solo.
Yeah.
He came from Corellia, but he had like a rich family. He crashed the ship into Palpatine's museum, and Palpatine did all this stuff. So he has like his own story. But again, I would love to see Dash Rendar or Kyle Katarn, one of those.
Yeah.
Like they're cherry picking, and they're not cherry picking good in terms of what Disney's doing. Like they're like, it's like the Rise of Skywalker was just a half-ass Dark Empire when we could have already had. You could have literally built that up from Episode 7, but you didn't. You just all of a sudden somehow Palpatine returned. That's that's the line.
And he mentioned that in a lot of comics, where like he was messing with that so he can come back. And I get that, but I think how the delivery was weird, because if you look at episode, what was it? Not the one was just basically a ship battle, and then you had Snoke's ship, and the movie was just a chase.
Oh, Last Jedi, yeah.
Last Jedi. So the ship was like breaking down, and his super, like, was it not Star Destroyer? What do they call his Snoke's flagship? Had the giant like triangle, but like it had First Order destroyers can literally go in the back of it and chill there.
When it comes to like the sequel trilogy, I think it's called the Supremacy.
Supremacy, yeah, that's right.
Sure
Supremacy.
Cool ship design. It made sense in terms of evolution. But that's all it was. And I don't know, I can remember, I watched it with Brian over here when we watched episode 7, and it was the very first scene with Kylo Ren on Jakku, and it just had a weird vibe to it. And right from the jump, and I was like, what is this shit? I even whispered to him, like, what is this shit?
Oh, when he comes off the ship?
Yeah, it was just the entire vibe of episode 7 was just weird from the jump. It just didn't feel correct.
Yeah.
Something about the entire time just felt off about The Force Awakens. And the thing is, I bought The Force Awakens, but I threw that bitch out. I was like, I'm good with these movies. If the last part is not good, then the first part is not good. That's how I figured.
I do like Kylo Ren's character. I don't like how he struggles. Like we had one character struggle enough, Anakin.
Yeah.
Between light and dark, and then he's doing it, and he's kind of whiny, and like
that's a Skywalker trait.
Yeah. So I mean, that's true. It is like that. But I do like Kylo Ren's struggle. He wants to be like the next emperor.
To me, it was just a half-assed Darth Caedus. They could have literally just put Darth Caedus or Jason. And that was it. But of course, Disney thinks that they can do things better. Can they? I don't know. People love the sequel trilogy. It didn't do it for me.
Well, you think about it, most people who watch it, they're seeing that it looks really good. It's shot really well.
Oh yeah, I think the color palette on it is great. I think it's like the prettiest of all the Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, there's some great parts into the sequel trilogy. It just didn't grab me because I wanted something more, something different. You have like this huge galaxy to play around in, and we're seeing stormtroopers, and we're seeing TIE fighters, and we're seeing this and that, Sith and Jedi. I was like, okay, there's more to it than what.
Like the baddies, right? Like what baddies are in each trilogy that you like?
Well, I like Thrawn. I don't think they really got Thrawn all that right compared to the books.
Yeah.
He seems a bit like an idiot now. I like the actor who plays Thrawn. I like his cold, calculating voice. I think that's like the most logical villain to have after Palpatine, especially in the books, because he was, instead of the force powers and all that, this and that, and the cackling and the laughing, he was just like very quiet. He was methodical.
And Thrawn was the only alien.
And he was the only alien. Yes, because the Empire was like incredibly racist. Yeah.
Yeah, like an alien, get out of here. Call ICE or whatever equivalent is, then get him out of here.
Get him out of here. Yeah. Palpatine put a lot of like faith in him. Now it's like, okay, the Ahsoka show, now he's back in the galaxy. Are we going to see like the Chiss Ascendancy? Are we going to see? I think
we had the witches from Dathomir just randomly appeared.
I know they got rid of the Yuuzhan Vong and they put the Grisk. I think the Grisk are like the Yuuzhan Vong of the Disney universe. Like they're the extra galactic threat that could be like the biggest threat to the galaxy.
Yeah.
Now, what about Abeloth? All this talk about Abeloth coming out. Now, if they're going to put Abeloth, because Ahsoka, to me, in my opinion, Ahsoka is Dave Filoni's wet dream, but. Because she's like 14 years old and she got a halter top on. You know what I'm saying? But I think at this point now she's positioned to be like the Luke Skywalker of the post Return of the Jedi. Because in my headcanon, the reason why the movies did not go into these books is because Ezra pulled out Ahsoka from the World Between Worlds. And
which was a great scene.
I just think that was a big mistake. I think when the franchise puts time travel into something, it just completely convolutes it. I think they use that as an excuse to right the wrongs. I'm a Star Trek
Marvel?
fan. Yeah, exactly. I'm a casual Star Trek fan, nowhere as much as Star Wars, but Star Trek does it all the time. They have like that trope about time travel, we can redo our mistakes.
Like, shit, let's go back and unfuck that come back.
I think time travel should have stayed completely out of Star Wars. And then you see it in Ahsoka, and it's like they can go in between.
Well, was it a time? So let's talk. So was that kind of time travel, or was that almost like, because remember in the Clone Wars, Palpatine goes in it with Ezra.
Yeah.
And they go into that, and it's almost like it's a force like dimension where
It's
they
like
can
it's
almost like can connect anybody in from that's a force ghost.
Yeah.
And they can connect them. So
There's like multiple levels to the force. There's like the cosmic force and there's the living force. And I'm assuming that would be the cosmic force.
yeah,
The world between
that's why
worlds.
Anakin was in there.
I guess you can consider like interdimension between time and space, but technically it is time travel because Ezra literally saw Ahsoka fighting Vader and literally yanked in there and pulled her out. And I think that's kind of what ruined the entire timeline because Ahsoka was supposed to.
That was in the anime series, right? Because I remember her fighting him, and she called him out, and she was like, "I know it's
and
you,
it's canon
Anakin."
because you have different levels of canon. Like nobody cares about the comic books, you know. Like people, there are a sect of fans that care about the comic books, but in most franchises, comic books is like low tier canon. So you have like the comics, then you have the books, and then you have the actual like the movies. And that's how Star Wars is. That's the iceberg of Star Wars. Comics is like the lowest. So comics have been retconned tons of times. Dave Filoni does that all the time. He retcons things all the time. So like, and that's the thing about the comics. All the cool stuff with Luke happens in the comics.
Yeah,
we don't.
Comics
see that.
are really cool.
Yeah, it's just nobody cares about the comics. It's like it's not the 1990s anymore. Nobody really reads comics in that way.
And I agree with that. I think it's hard to get, especially the younger generation, to read comics. Although, like if you read the Darth Vader series, it's dark. It's good. I love it.
It is. Yeah.
It ties in a lot of stuff in between the movies.
And that's another weakness of the sequel trilogy is that you have to read books to really fill in the gaps.
Yeah.
Not many casual fans want to read books. And I think that's kind of the balance you have to find between in these franchises is that there's people who are going to be like all in like we are with the books and all the in between canon, and then you have people that just go and see the movies.